Dean, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank all of you for coming and being willing to assist us in trying to get at the facts of what happened, what went right, what went wrong. And I offer you my thanks for your service to community and to country, but I also want to say I'm sympathetic to your losses that day and the stress and trauma that it put on you and the entire community. I had the opportunity, I'm going to ask that the map be brought up. I and many others on this panel had the opportunity to do a site visit at Butler. Is that okay? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't have to hold it. Excuse me 1 second. Where's AGR? Right here. And what struck me, and I think most of us, was the proximity of the place, how close everything was as we walked into that field and looked where the stage would have been and just looked to our left, the double fence line, very open double fence line, and then these buildings. So I'm going to start with you, Officer Blasko. And again, I thank you for your service to our country and, of course, to the community that week and that day and continuing. Officer Blasko, this set of buildings at the top here, they're adjoined buildings, there's a separate building, there's a parking lot, there's a wooded area. What we see at the top, is that the AGR complex?
Yes.
Okay. How far are the AGR buildings from the red barns behind the stage, which I don't think are shown here? Red barns were here.
They are approximately 130 yards.
130 yards, okay. Is it your understanding that the AGR complex was left out of the secure perimeter by Secret Service and the plans in the rally, outside of that which was established by Secret Service?
Yes, that was our understanding of it.
You said, well, I know you were on the ground on the 13th in a patrol capacity, and your thoughtfulness of moving in so quickly is admirable to me. But you were there at the planning 2 days earlier, is that correct?
Yes.
On the 11th? Is it true that within minutes of joining the walkthrough on the morning of the 11th, you shared your concerns about AGR complex not being secure? Again, here's the top where Crooks was positioned and dies, and shoots from and dies. You shared your concerns about AGR complex. With whom and what did you say?
I did share my concerns with the agents, from my understanding, that were in charge of the site that day. I explained to them that the snipers inside that building were overwatching the venue itself, and that the whole area, specifically the whole area leading up from the water tower, we had no vantage point from. We could see part of the building that Crooks was on, but we had no access in that, or line of sight, I should say, to that area. And I asked the Secret Service members that we do not have the additional manpower to post anybody there, and I requested additional people to be posted there so there would be no access to those grounds.
And what response did you get?
That they would take care of it.
They would take care of it?
Yes.
And did you think that meant they would put it within their secured perimeter?
Whether they put it within their secure perimeter or they posted bodies, actual people there, that was my expectation of what was going to happen.
And I want to point out, for the benefit of those who haven't been there, this is a fence line for the AGR property, is that correct? And it's a chain link fence.
Yes.
So you can see through it.
Yes.
And this property, AGR property parking lot, was not locked down. People could walk in and did walk in.
Yes.
Including Mr. Crooks. This is another chain link fence, I believe, with just the grassy perimeter.
Yes.
Did they say anything about posting an agent or blocking, making opaque that fence line or both fence lines?
So we were told that they were going to post a opaque fencing along the line. In the military, I called it sniper fencing, but it's an opaque fencing that you can't see it. It's a green fence that what I know it to be, that all the way around the outside of the perimeter.
Mr. Lieutenant Harold, can you talk about whether or not there was a discussion about posting vehicles along either of those fence lines? Farm vehicles, trucks, buses?
On Thursday, well, even on Tuesday and Thursday, there was discussion about farm equipment that they were going to post. It was the campaign that was going to post farm equipment. And at one point, it was along the pond side of the stage, and then they were discussing about putting some farm equipment up above between the stage and the AGR building. So there was also a contact that was provided to the campaign about a resource that would be able to provide additional equipment to banners, trailers, some of the same equipment that was utilized in the 2020 rally. And so I had put the campaign in contact with this individual, so if they needed additional equipment along that fence line. And then there was also some discussion about, I think it was like, I guess you would say a jumbotron or something, like there was supposed to be a screen of some sort, you know, like blocking that area a little bit better. Saturday morning when we showed up, I think there was one combine that was between the AGR building and the stage, and there was a few additional tractors that was on the opposite side, on the pond side of the farm show there from the stage.
And Commander Lentz and Mr. Blasko, when Secret Service arrived, did anybody say to you all, well, we're missing some of the stuff we thought was going to be here, to block that line of sight?
When I arrived the day of the rally, I actually did not speak to anybody from the Secret Service until I had to make a phone call to the Secret Service specific to a possible threat that the 911 center received.
I thank you. I recognize I've gone over, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Again, I'll just go to thank you for your service, and it is stunning, the proximity of that rooftop and all of that property. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dean. Mr. Mallon.